this is Mrs. Robertson, and today it's Wednesday. We're going to go over the steps on how to undo an addition equation. And we've already done number 1 on the side that says extra practice of the worksheet. The inverse of adding 4 is subtracting 4. You subtract 4 from both sides of the equal sign, keeping the equation balanced. You draw a line, cancel. What do you have left? X equals 10. Circle your answer. Then you do your check step. You replace the variable x with the value of 10. Does 10 plus 4 equal 14? Yes, it does. 3 points. Now let's look at number 2. We already determined that the inverse operation of adding 10 is subtracting 10. So you subtract 10 to the left and the right side of the equal sign, which makes the equation. Cancel. Bring down the equal sign. B equals 15 minus 10 is 5. Now, just so you know, the equal sign is the spine of your equation. They should always line up or be as close to a straight line as possible. All right? You don't want your equation to have scoliosis of the equal sign or curvature of the spine. That's what they sometimes say. Now we have 1 point for the work, 1 point for the answer, and now we have to do the check step. Does 5 plus 10 equal 15? Yes, it does. Let's do number 3. We have to solve for W. We have to get rid of plus 2. The opposite of adding 2 is minus 2 minus 2. Draw your line and cancel. Bring down your equal sign. I make it optional if you want to put an equal sign here. You can if you want to, but I don't require it. But I do require this equal sign once you draw the line. Bring down your variable. W equals, what's 5 minus 2? 3. Circle your answer. Now we have our 1 point for work, 1 point for the answer. Now we're going to do our check step. Does 2 plus 3 equal 5? Yes, it does. Any questions? I would like for you now to do 4, 5, and 6. I'm going to walk around the room to check to make sure everyone has these problems completed. All right, here we go. Minus 3, draw your line and cancel. Put your equal sign down. K equals 4, circle it. Does 4 plus 3 equal 7? Yes, it does. All right, I have to get rid of the 4. Minus 4. Draw your line and cancel. Put your equal sign down. 2 equals H. Does 6 equal 4 plus 2? Yes, it does. Minus 7. Draw your line and cancel. Put your equal sign. Bring down your variable D. 11 minus 7 is 4. Does 7 plus 4 equal 11? Yes, it does. Now we're going to do the decimal problems. In problem number 6, it's the same thing, but you have to line up your decimal points. Remember that? Now, in problem number 7, to undo adding 9.3, minus 9 3/10. Minus 9 3/10. Put an equal sign. M equals. Now, when you have decimals, you line up your decimal point. Okay? I have to put a decimal point here along with the 0. Now, I borrow from the 1. It turns into a 0, and that turns into a 10. 10 minus 3 is 7. Don't forget your decimal point. 0 won't subtract 9, but 10 minus 9 is 1. M equals 1 7/10. Now, to show my check step for this one, I'm going to do it vertically, because when you do decimals, you line them up. Does 9.3 plus 1.7 equal 11? Yes, it does. Put a check mark by your check step. Sometimes you don't always have room to show your check step underneath the problem. So if you, wherever you do your check step, put a check mark so my eyes know where it is. Okay? Work, answer, check step. Now let's do number 8. In problem number 8, here we go. Minus 9 8/10 minus 9 8/10. Draw your line and cancel. Bring down the equal sign. F equals. Now, 4 won't subtract 8. Borrow from the 9. It turns into an 8. So that's 14 minus 8 will give you 6. Decimal point, 18 minus 9 is 9. F equals 9.6. Now I'm going to do my check step. Replace F with 9.6. Does 9.6 plus 9.8 equal 19.4? Yes, it does. Any questions? Yes. A tiny bit, but you should be able to keep up with me on this. I'll go a little slower. In problem number 9, you are going to undo adding 2.2. That's going to be minus 2.2 minus 2.2. Draw your line and cancel. Bring down your equal sign. P equals 4 4/10. Circle your answer. Now we have to do the step. Replace P with 4.4. I'm going to do it vertically. Does 4.4 plus 2.2 equal 6.6? Yes, it does. Any questions? Everyone good with the decimal problems? It's all about being neat and showing your work, even for things you can do in your head. It's not about what can you get your answer in your head. Okay, I know everyone knows the answer is 4/10 to that problem in number 11, but we're showing our steps with fractions this time, okay? So, we have to get B all by itself, so you have to get rid of a plus 1/10. What's the inverse of adding 1/10? Minus 1/10 minus 1/10. Draw your line and cancel. Because 1/10 minus 1/10 cancels it out, right? So now you write down B equals, what's 5/10 minus 1/10? 4/10. You do not have to simplify it, kids. Let's just put down 4/10. Circle your answer. Now you have to do your check step. All right. I barely have enough room to put it underneath, but you could do it to your side. If you wanted to do it, you'd say, does 1/10 plus 4/10 equal 5/10? Yes, it does. Just somewhere, when you do your check step, just put a check mark. Some of you might have said 1/10 plus 4/10 equals 5/10 down there. That's fine. Okay? Are we ready for number 11? Here we go. To undo adding 1/3, minus 1/3 minus 1/3. Draw your line and cancel. Bring down your equal sign and your variable. M equals 2/3 minus 1/3 is 1/3. Circle your answer. Now let's do the check step. Does 1/3 plus 1/3 equal 2/3? Yes, it does. Any questions? Let's do the next problem. Here we have to undo adding 1/2. Minus 1/2 minus 1/2. Draw your line and cancel. Put your equal sign and bring your variable k. Now, when you subtract or add fractions, you have to have the same denominator, right? What's going to be my common denominator between a 4 and a 2? 4. So we're going to change 1/2 to fourths, okay? That's going to have to be fourths. 1/2 equals how many fourths? 2 fourths. 2 times 2 is 4. 1 times 2 is 2. Now I'm subtracting. What's 3/4 minus 2/4? 1/4. Now let's do the check step. Circle. This is my answer. Does 3/4 equal 1/2 plus 1/4? Well, we're going to change 1/2 to 2/4, right? Does 1/4 plus 2/4 equal? Does 1/4 plus 2/4 equal 3/4? Yes, it does. There's my check step. Okay, you can do it horizontally or vertically. I don't care. All right, but you got to show it. And in fractions, when you add or subtract, you have to have the same denominator. Number 10, minus 1/4 minus 1/4. Draw your line and cancel. Something equals B. Okay, what's my common denominator between an 8 and a 4? Yeah, 8. We're going to change this to 8s. 1/4 equals 2/8. Okay, so 7/8 minus 2/8 gives you 5/8. B equals 5/8. Now let's double check it. Does 5/8 plus 1/4 equal, let's see, I got to change 1/4 to 8s, don't we? That equals 2/8. Does 5/8 plus 2/8 equal 7/8? Yes, it does. It's got to equal 7/8. Any questions? The next problem, to undo adding 2/7, minus 2/7 minus 2/7. Did everyone write it down twice? You got to do it twice. Draw your line and cancel because you got to balance your equation. If you subtract 2/7 from that side, you do it from this side. Bring down your equal sign. W equals. What's your common denominator between a 14 and a 7? 14. Yep. 7 times 2 is 14. 2 times 2 is 4. What's 5/14 minus 4/14? 1/14. That's right. 5 minus 4 is 1. Now let's do our check step. I'm going to do it down here this time. Replace W with 1/14. Does 1/14 plus 2/7 equals 5/14? Well, let's see. I have to change this to 14ths, don't I? You have to change 2/7 to 14ths. 7 times 2 is 14. Does 1/14 plus 4/14 equal 5/14? Yes, it does. Now we're going to do problem number 12. To undo adding 2/10, we're going to subtract 2/10 so you can get k all by itself. Minus 2/10 minus 2/10. Draw your line and cancel. Put your equal sign down, k. Now 4/5 can't subtract 2/10 until it has a common denominator. What's your common denominator between a 5 and a 10? 10. 4/5 equals 8/10. 8/10 minus 2/10 is 6/10. Now let's do the check step. Does 2/10 plus 6/10, that equals 8/10. Now is 8/10 the same thing as 4/5? Yeah. 8 divided by 2 is 4. 10 divided by 2 is 5. And that is correct. You get 4/5. Now let's do 13 and 14, and then I'll let you do your homework. The word problems on the quiz Friday will be worth 5 points each, and it's very easy. A stunt airplane is flying at 150 feet. It ascends. Ascend means it goes up to 325 feet. Write and solve an equation to find the change in altitude. The first thing we have to do is define your variable. And the variable is going to equal the change in altitude. I'm just going to use x. X equals change in altitude. I'll just abbreviate it. You can abbreviate it when you do it on your quiz. Some of your pencils aren't moving. I know you don't have that written down. That's worth 1 point. How do you find it? It'll be in the question. What's in the question is what your variable will equal. Now we have to write an equation. Well, and we're going to use an x because I said x was our variable. We know 150 plus x equals 325, right? They were at 150. It goes up an amount, and now it's at 325. That's worth a point. So you get 1 point for your variable, 1 point for the equation. Now we show your work. You have to get x all by itself. Minus 150, minus 150. X equals 175. You get 1 point for showing your work, subtracting 150, 1 point for the answer. See how that's 4 points already? How do you get your final point? We're going to do the check step. Does 150 plus 175 equal 325? Yes, it does. And that is your final point. Now we're going to do the same thing for number 14. In problem number 14, Cornelius is saving money to buy a jacket that costs $47. He has already saved $25. Write and solve an equation to find how much more money Cornelius needs to save. I'm going to say x equals more money. You could go into more detail, but x equals how much more money he needs. Okay, let's write our equation. Well, he has $25 plus x has to equal the amount he needs, which is 47. So you have 1 point for your variable, 1 point for the equation. Now we are solving our equation. To get x by itself, to undo adding, we're going to subtract. Subtraction is the inverse operation of adding. Now you end up with x equals 22. That's worth 1 point. Okay? Then we do the check. Oh, 1 point for the work. Now we do the check step. Does 25 plus 22 equal 47? Yes, it does. And that's your final point. Now, what are you going to do for homework? Turn your paper over. You are not doing the word problems because some of the information was left off, so we can't do the word problems. So you're going to do 1 to 13 and show your work on the problems. Any questions? All right. Do a nice job. If you have any questions, I will walk around and help you. Have a good day.